Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm going to play you a video of me from last year. Somebody else made this on the internet. They sliced it together. Johnny Pie from the Young Turks and I. Johnny Pie, who I always remind people is very funny. That guy could have been a good improv comedian. Anyway, I love doing the shows on Young Turks with Johnny, and we had a little friendly debate about Hillary Clinton, and somebody spliced it together, and I thought it was interesting because of what I'm going to talk about next. So let's watch a little bit of this.
Goddamn clown show. This is such a goddamn clown show. I mean, really, it's like watching a 6-year-old fucking try to do so. It's just funny. It's just ridiculous. It's barely worth talking about. What's really worth talking about is that we actually have to take this guy seriously because what the Democrats and corporate America did is by putting Hillary Clinton on the ballot. So we decided to go against a clown like this with the most unpopular politician in the history of the fucking world. That's what we decided to go against.
I will correct one thing. We didn't do that.
And half the Democratic Party said, oh, no, remember that woman who was too corrupt and voted for the Iraq War that we didn't want 8 years ago? No, I bet she's way better, even though she's doing way more horrible shit. Yeah. That's what we talk about here all the time, right? How incompetent he is. Yes. But you're still afraid of him? I'm not afraid of him. You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of people that Henry Kissinger are okay with. I'm afraid of someone who John Negroponte is okay with. I'm afraid of someone who George W. Bush calls his cousin. That's who I'm afraid of, not an incompetent piece of shit like Donald Trump.
Is irrelevant if he tries to and deports 1 million or 2 million. That will be one of the worst things that will ever happen in American history.
Not true.
Regardless, breaking up tens of millions of families.
What do you think's happening right now? If you believe Fusion's reporting, which I do, Barack Obama has deported more Hispanics than all the presidents combined since 1890.
I agree.
What should be scary is that Hillary Rodham Clinton has called for a no-fly zone in Syria, which means she wants war with Russia.
I don't support a no-fly zone
which means she's
there.
already destabilized the Middle East and set the table for World War III. And you're still worried about somebody else.
Yes.
Fucking crazy.
Yes.
She was full-throated support of an illegal, immoral war crimes.
Donald Trump.
I just can't sit here and pretend like Donald Trump is as scary as everybody else thinks he is. And I'm not going to vote out of fear, and I'm not going to let the Hillary
Who's asking you to vote out of fear?
Campaign, everybody.
I think that you are far closer on any number of issues to Hillary Clinton than you are to Donald Trump.
Oh,
that has no emotion in it. That's simply a recognition.
That is crazy.
You were also for months talking about how he will be the rise of American fascism, how he could be the end of American democracy.
I've changed my mind.
And you're free
because of the great reporting the Young Turks have done, and especially in this Loser Donald segment that you guys do. And no one should be afraid of this guy. And the only reason anybody's afraid of him is because we decided to stick our heads up our fucking asses and nominate the most hated politician in the history of the goddamn country, who is corrupt. Well, it's not a debate.
He is still far more hated than her. They're both extremely unpopular.
He's not a politician. He's a game show host.
Well, he's a politician now because he has like a 30 to 40% chance of winning the presidency. The family members being ripped away from them and sent below the south of the border.
Happening now. Happening right now.
I understand that.
Happening right now.
Look, and we've criticized Obama any number of times for his deportation policy.
Did you know that the majority of women in America aren't going to vote for Hillary Clinton? Did you know that?
No, I didn't see it.
That's a fact.
But that's an interesting fact that's worthy of coverage, but I don't understand how it changes the calculus between those two candidates.
These are super interesting facts, though. How dare you?
I don't think she could lift a pickle jar.
I'm literally
one of those three things.
I'm literally disgusted by you even saying that. I'm glad she kills people.
Wait, what?
Whatever.
So look, I looked over it, and I mean, there's stuff about some of the gaps in.
Who is corrupt? It's not a debate. It's not a debate. It's not a debate. It's not a debate.
Okay, whatever. I didn't know why I did that. Whoever put that together. So basically, that was fun. That was a funny thing Johnny and I did, and I loved it. I love being on with Johnny. I wish I could be on with him more. Michael Schur. No, I'm kidding.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Michael Schur makes me laugh too. So anybody who makes me laugh is okay in my book. Seriously. So why did I play that for you? Because I don't know if you remember, I was saying I'm not afraid of Donald Trump as much as everyone wants me to be. I don't want to vote out of fear. And you guys did all those Loser Donald segments, which they did. They were fantastic. And it convinced me that Donald Trump wasn't incompetent, and he probably wouldn't be able to get stuff done. He'd probably shoot himself in the foot before he got out of bed in the morning, which he does. He tweets at 4 in the morning shit that gets him in trouble before he gets out of bed in the morning. So, and he's splitting. He's all these the senators, the Republican senators, are turning against him, and he hasn't. Well, according to this is Kyle Griffin. He's a producer for The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Stop the Hammering, and he says this is him. 9 months in, with unified control of government, Republicans have failed to pass a single significant piece of legislation into law. I wonder what stupid jagoff YouTube show predicted that. People go, what about the Supreme Court? That's normal Republican stuff. We already had Scalia. We've already had Rehnquist. We already have all these right wingers on the. They already do. That's just regular. People were making the case that you can't vote for Donald Trump because he is a uniquely dangerous threat. Isn't that what they were saying? I'm here with the miserable liberal, and I'm here with Ron Placone. Hello.
I am miserable.
No, isn't that what they were saying? They were saying that Donald Trump was a uniquely dangerous threat, which is why you can't vote third party this time. Normally, you could vote third party if it was a regular Republican like Mitt Romney or John McCain or George Bush. But you can't do it this time because Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy, and he's a fascist. He's all this stuff. And so you saw what I said. I said, you guys are doing these loser downloads. He is an incompetent. I don't think he'll be able to get stuff done. You've heard me make that a lot of places. Well, here we are. So, again, I could have been wrong about that. He could have got a good chief of staff, decided to listen to his chief of staff, and then worked with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. And I could have been wrong about that. That was just me, not wanting to vote out of fear and making the most logical conclusion. Well, if this guy isn't incompetent, what are you so afraid of? Then we'll be able to fight back at him. Do you want to elect Hillary Clinton and then in 4 years we get a really competent right-wing ideologue? Maniac, fascist, with an even bigger Republican majority in the Senate and the Congress, and Democrats wiped out even farther in the houses? This is what we're talking about. People forget there wasn't just one election in your lifetime. You have to think beyond one election cycle, because if you don't, you get Trump. And if you don't get that, you're gonna. If you don't get that, you will forever be congratulating yourself for voting for a corporatist warmonger who's anti-worker.
I want to go back to this tweet right now where it says Donald Trump is saying, do not underestimate the unity within the Republican Party. So let's be perfectly clear. They are pretty unified. Even though Flake came out and Corker came out,
still voted
weren't they all in lockstep?
To screw over Americans to vote for that bank bill. So now you can't sue banks when they defraud you because all the Republicans unified and voted to deny United States citizens the ability to sue banks when they commit fraud against them. That's literally what they did. So your government is now actively, openly working against you. It's not just Barack Obama when he bailed out the equity firm that was inflating rental prices on his way out the door. Barack Obama did that, so he made it harder for renters and he made it harder for first-time home buyers. That's the government working with private companies to screw the citizen. That's fascism. Barack Obama did it, and now Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing it. Your government has been working against you for quite a long time. So let's go ahead, Ron. You want to say something?
I was going to add, you talk about voting in fear. So going back to the primary, I at first was really fearful of the idea of a Donald Trump. I was like, this guy is a loose cannon. This guy sounds insane when he speaks. The fact that he's on this platform is nuts. I never would have predicted this. I never thought people would take him seriously. But then after the primary ended, I kind of reflected on the whole thing and putting the DNC, the fact that they did not hold an honest primary aside, just setting that aside, I know a lot of people that never really voted for Hillary Clinton. They voted against Donald Trump. They let their Bernie's great, but Trump is so scary. We gotta, and I'm like, that completely defeats the purpose of a primary. And I didn't do that, but seeing that happen, I was just like, well, this is what happens when you vote out of fear. And so after that, I was like, well, I'm never going to vote out of fear ever again. And I pulled the lever for Jill Stein.
Good for you. Steph?
I had a bit of fear. Even posting anywhere that I was going to vote for Jill Stein. That was
no kidding. Like people would attack you.
Yes, they would. And so what? Okay. But, I want to go back to the other point that you brought up, Jimmy, about President Obama deporting more people than any other president. And
And
I
using
remember,
private detention centers to do it, by the way.
and these private detention centers
Are a nightmare.
are awful for children,
children.
especially.
And Barack Obama, and that didn't shock Michelle Obama to her core.
No.
That doesn't shock her. Only when Donald Trump says dirty things about your vagina. It doesn't shock her to her core that Barack Obama's putting little kids in detention, private prisons.
It almost made me feel like she was grandstanding.
It almost
about
made
that.
me feel like she's I don't know, completely full of shit, which she is. Michelle Obama's completely full of shit. I'll say it. She is. She's completely full. I know she seems nice. She's not.
And I just wanted, I just remember this one conversation that we had where people were saying, oh, yes, I have an employee and they have their brother who's already in a detention center.
Already.
Trump get already.
Before Trump was president, people were saying that. My cousin's in a detention center right now. If you vote for Trump, who put that? That was Obama. Is Trump a nightmare for immigrants? Yes. Guess who else was? Barack Obama.
Yeah, he
So-
did not deserve deporter in chief.
So let
he
me
earn that.
You're correct, Bron. So let me get to the rest of the segment. So he tweets that out. Kyle Griffin, producer for The Last Word, he's got a blue check. He's very important. Sure, he's a nice person. He gets lots of shit wrong, but he didn't get this one wrong. Good for you, Kyle. Good for you. He got a lot of pushback right away. People said stuff like this. They've gutted every program that affects our health, education, and environment anyway. That's what people were saying back to him, and then people go, have you checked out the hearing that was just announced to make restrictions on abortions tighter? So these are people pushing back against Kyle, saying, look at all the horrible stuff they're doing. Yes, that's regular horrible stuff. That's regular horrible Republican stuff. They've always done that stuff. Every time there's a Republican president, they do that stuff. It's no different. So remember, the argument was Trump was uniquely dangerous. Kyle pointed out he hasn't gotten any major pieces of legislation done. Every time he puts a travel ban on, they block it in the courts, and every time he tries to repeal Obamacare, he can't do it. And now, we just did a story last week, Trump's budget chief said that Trump is actually going to fund Obamacare. So, the people go, Supreme Court and judges. Again, that's regular right-wing shit. Regular Republican president stuff. So we already had Scalia. So just keep that in mind. So, and that's what the Democrats count on, by the way. The reason Barack Obama didn't make sure he appointed that Supreme Court justice, which constitutionally he was supposed to do, the reason why he didn't make the Republicans pay a price for that was because Barack Obama knew that they were going to use that as leverage to beat the Republican in the fall. Hey, if you vote Republican, because they knew Hillary Clinton was going to be the nominee, and they knew that half the country hated her. This is back from 2008. They all knew that the Republicans were dying to go up against Hillary Clinton in an election because they knew they could beat her. That's what Barack Obama said in 2008, by the way. That's a quote from Barack Obama. So that's why Barack Obama didn't push to get his Supreme Court nominee sat. They were using it as blackmail,
Yes.
so that you would vote for Hillary Clinton. And guess what? Didn't fucking work. So that's Barack Obama's failing that we have a Republican on the Supreme Court. That's Barack Obama's failing. And by the way, Democrats voted for the Gorsuch anyway, right? So, by the way, so this is from Current Affairs. Is Trump actually failing, though? While the president fixates on Russia and the Obamacare fiasco, the executive branch perpetrates horrors. So this is Current Affairs saying he's not really failing, and they show you what he did. This is from Current Affairs. This is all the stuff that Trump's getting done. Confirming hard right Justice Neil Gorsuch, regular Republican stuff. Approving the Keystone Pipeline. Barack Obama almost did that. That's regular Republican stuff. Hillary Clinton probably would have. Lifting a ban on military gear for local police. That's bipartisan. Canceling hundreds of Obama regulations. Any Republican would do this stuff. Any Republican would have done that. Introducing a policy to remove federal grants from sanctuary cities. Any Republican would have done that stuff. Rolling back limits on drone strikes.
I'll say bipartisan there.
That's
If you want to say
bipartisan.
Republican, go ahead. I'll say bipartisan.
I know. Privatizing national parks, increasing the use of local sheriffs for immigration enforcement. Maybe. That's regular Republican stuff. That's regular Republican stuff. Hastening oil and gas line permits, regular Republican stuff. Plus, Barack Obama did all that stuff, too. Remember, Barack Obama lifted the restrictions from exporting fossil fuels from the United States, which is why we have pipelines all over the frickin' place now, because of Barack Obama. Privatizing VA medical services, regular Republican stuff. Selling off the United States Strategic Oil Reserve at low prices, regular Republican stuff. And cutting federal funding from Planned Parenthood, regular Republican stuff. This is, again, any Republican would do all this stuff. Am I wrong about this? I'll throw it. Am I right?
You're right on,
Okay,
buddy.
all right. Probably, this is from Current Affairs magazine, probably the most frightening Trump administration success. This is where they're trying to scare you. Has occurred at the EPA, where Secretary Scott Pruitt has been scrapping regulations by the dozen. In an outstanding burst of activity, Pruitt has moved to undo, delay, or otherwise block more than 30 environmental rules, a regulatory rollback larger in scope than any other over such a short time in the agency's 47-year history. Again, regular Republican stuff they would be doing. Bypassing senior agency officials and consulting with industry lobbyists instead, Pruitt has been a highly efficient servant of the corporate interests. So is Barack Obama. So is everybody. So is the whole goddamn government. Which is why we don't have a functioning healthcare system or a functioning financial system. Because Barack Obama was fucking corrupt. He has begun to undo the Clean Power Plan, delayed a rule requiring fossil fuel companies to stop methane leaks. The move was temporarily blocked by a federal court, pushed back a requirement designed to prevent chemical spills and explosions, and reversed a ban on pesticides linked to nerve damage among children. And you know what you're supposed to do when they do stuff like that? You're supposed to stick it to them and kill them at the ballot box next time. But the Democrats aren't gonna.
Well, I'm sitting here, Jimmy, and I'm listening to this list, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, if only the Democrats could actually come together and fight for the people, maybe a real Democrat would have gotten into office.
So one more part of this, the Trump administration has eliminated the stream protection rule, which prohibits coal companies from dumping waste in streams. And CNN recently reported that within hours of meeting with a mining company, CEO, EPA head Scott Pruitt directed his staff to withdraw a plan to protect the watershed of Bristol Bay, Alaska, one of the most valuable wild salmon fisheries on Earth. Oh my God! Why would that is so horrible that's something only a Republican would do, doing something like that to our pristine wildlife. Oh, I forgot this though. Obama's dirty secret: the fossil fuel project the U.S. littered around the world. What is this? Through the Export-Import Bank, the Obama administration has spent nearly $34 billion on dirty energy plants in countries from India to Australia to South Africa.
Wait a minute, Jimmy. Are you telling me that the Republicans and the Democrats are both awful?
Yes, I'm telling you that they're both corrupt to the hilt, That's why you vote third party. So the whole point was you couldn't vote for this.
That's right.
You couldn't vote for Trump. You couldn't vote third party. You couldn't vote third party because of Trump. Well, I'm showing you right now how stupid that was.
Well, when it came to environmental issues, though, Hillary Clinton was the better option. She used to go around the world telling people not to do fracking, right?
She did the exact opposite, Rod. Very funny.
Wait a minute.
You're very funny, Rod. Through the Export-Import Bank, Barack Obama's administration has spent nearly $34 billion supporting 70 fossil fuel projects around the world. Work by Columbia Journalism School's Energy and Environmental Reporting Project and The Guardian has revealed. MSNBC wouldn't tell you that. This unprecedented backing of oil, coal, and gas project is the unexpected footnote to Obama's own climate change legacy. The president has called global warming terrifying and helped broker the world's first proper agreement to tackle it, yet his administration has poured money into developments that will push the planet even closer to climate disaster. So they know all the words. Just like Chris Hedges points out, Barack Obama and the Democrats know all the words of progressives. They know how to talk like a populist, and then they legislate like this. Just so you know. Oh, by the way, Barack Obama, he was super on the environment, right? Because, Ron, I don't know if you saw this. U.S. reverses decades of oil export limits with Obama's backing. So that used to be illegal to do that. Now, Barack Obama, keep drilling, baby. More oil, more fossil fuels, more natural gas. It's the bridge to the future that's going to melt the polar ice caps. Oh, by the way, what else did Barack Obama do? I don't know if you saw this. This is from Reuters. Here's why Obama's approving Arctic drilling again. I thought only Trump did stuff like this.
Well, it was part of the all-of-the-above approach on energy, which included Arctic drilling and a line about how green jobs would be nice on his website.
So Barack Obama figured out that because of global warming, that the ice doesn't form for as long up towards the polar caps anymore. So now you have more time to go put a drill up there because of the global warming. And Barack Obama said, go do it. He didn't say it once. He said it twice. Here's why Obama is approving Arctic drilling again. And the subheadline is from Reuters. The subheadline, for a leader who's made fighting climate change a priority, President Barack Obama's decision to approve Royal Dutch Shell's return to oil and gas exploration off Alaska was seen by many environmentalists as a contradiction. So fuck you. You can't vote third party because of Trump and all the stuff he's going to get done. All right? This is why you got Trump. This is why you got Trump, you fucking morons. And I said it last year before the election, and I said it on the Young Turks. And now I got Kyle Griffin from the Last Word making the same point I made. Good on you, Kyle. So I'm going to gloat again. I'm going to gloat. I could have been wrong. And I would have said I was wrong. Who saw this coming together? Who saw that happening? I'll tell you what I was wrong about for sure, is I did not see the Democrats moving to the right. I didn't know that they would do that. I didn't know that they would continue to make sure progressives didn't vote for them. And to me, it almost appears that Tom Perez wants to lose again. It appears that Tom Perez literally wants to lose again. I'm not making that up. That's what it looks like to me. Now, I was right before. Maybe I'm right now. Maybe I'm wrong. But it looks like Tom Perez does not give a shit about beating Republicans. Because guess who's their biggest fundraiser? Fucking Donald Trump. That's who they want to run against forever. Look, we're better than them. We don't actually have to stop being corporatists and to be better than Donald Trump. We'll be a little less shitty than Donald Trump. That's Tom Perez's view, and he doesn't care if they lose. They don't care if they lose. They're not getting rid of superdelegates. They just screwed over the Rules Committee. They got all the progressives off, so the rigged system stays in place. And if you want to know who rigged the election last time, it was the fucking... How about in Brooklyn, where they just admitted that they broke the law by kicking 200,000 voters off the rolls? Oh, is that where Bernie's from? That happened in one borough in New York. Imagine where else it happened around the country that we're just finding out. We didn't find out about. We're just finding out about this. So that's who stole the election. This is why you got Trump. And fuck you. We should all vote third party and get rid of the goddamn Democrats once and for all. Please make sure you subscribe. YouTube and Google are trying to kill independent journalism, and they're making it harder for people to see our videos. They're unsubscribing people without their knowledge, and they're burying our stuff. Please subscribe and pass this video around. Thank you. The next live Jimmy Dore show is November 6th in Burbank, California, and November 12th in Portland, Oregon. Link for tickets right there.